why is it that you can explain, like, incredibly complex financial paradigm to a boardroom full of executives, right?
Yeah.
Or you can debate macroeconomics for hours. But the second a stranger at a neighborhood party extends a hand and just says, tell me about yourself, your brain just instantly deletes your entire personality.
Oh, it is the ultimate social paradox.
You literally forget your job, your hobbies, practically your own name.
Yeah, you're hit with that universal panic prompt. And, well, your physiological response is actually identical to encountering a predator in the wild.
Seriously, a predator.
Truly. Your heart rate spikes, cortisol floods your system, and you're suddenly tasked with summarizing decades of human existence into this neat, charming 15-second soundbite. I mean, it is no wonder we flatlined.
And it doesn't even matter if you are stepping into, like, a high-stakes corporate mixer or just meeting a friend of a friend at a coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
Crafting a concise, engaging personal introduction is this critical life skill that most of us actually completely fail at.
We really do.
Which is why today's deep dive is taking us somewhere I honestly never expected. We are examining a transcript from a YouTube channel called Mr. English Channel. And it's a show designed specifically for beginners who are learning English as a second language.
Right. And if you already speak the language fluently, you might be sitting there wondering why on earth we're tearing apart a beginner's language guide.
Exactly. It sounds weird.
But the absolute brilliance of this source material is that while it is technically a linguistic roadmap, it's actually a masterclass in the psychology of human connection.
Yeah.
By stripping away all that advanced vocabulary, it tackles the exact root of our social anxiety. Basically, how to stop overwhelming people and ourselves with unnecessary data.
Okay, let's unpack this because the creators of this channel lay out a formula for introductions that feels, well, deceptively basic at first glance. They insist you start with nothing more than your name and your location.
Literally just the absolute basics.
Yeah, literally just, I am Paul, and I live in the city.
Which feels entirely too simple to a native speaker, right? We want to instantly prove our value in those first few seconds.
Oh, totally. We want to sound impressive.
But we have to understand the cognitive mechanics of a first impression. What's fascinating here is if you think of your brain's working memory like a computer's RAM.
Okay, like computer memory.
Exactly. When you meet someone new, especially in a networking environment, both of your brains are running these heavy background applications.
Oh, like managing social anxiety.
Right, managing anxiety, reading body language, trying to figure out if you have spinach in your teeth.
The important stuff.
The crucial stuff. So starting with simple, undeniable facts like your name and location acts as a cognitive reset. It requires zero processing power from either party.
They share this fantastic anecdote in the source that really brings that RAM analogy to life. One of the hosts was at a dog park and spotted this incredibly cute, small, white dog with, like, very long ears.
Oh, yeah, the dog park story.
And she was so captivated, or maybe just socially anxious, that she walked right up and started greeting the animal first.
As one does.
Right. She's saying, hello, little friend, you are so beautiful. And she is completely ignoring the actual human being holding the leash who's just standing there waiting.
Right, because she used the dog as a safe harbor. It's a proxy interaction.
The proxy interaction, I like.
Yeah, because greeting a dog doesn't require answering, tell me about yourself. The dog doesn't care. But once that proxy interaction ends, the social friction is still there. She has to recover from essentially ignoring a human being.
And how does she recover? She stands up and falls back on the absolute baseline formula. She just says, oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Emily. I live just around the corner.
Just the facts.
Just the facts. And it instantly diffuses the awkwardness. The owner responds that her name is Susan and she recently moved from Chicago. The baseline facts just stabilize the whole interaction.
Exactly, because she didn't try to over-explain why she was talking to the dog or launch into some weird monologue. She just offered a low-stakes data exchange.
A low-stakes data exchange, yeah.
And the creators apply this exact same rule of simplicity to talking about your career. They argue that saying, I work in a bank, is infinitely superior to stringing together this convoluted sentence about your role in, like, institutional wealth management.
But wait, hold on. If I'm at a professional networking event, isn't saying I work in a bank kind of selling myself incredibly short?
You'd think so.
Because people use jargon for a reason, right? It signals competence. It tells the other person you belong in the room.
That is the exact trap we all fall into. We use jargon as tribal signaling. We want to sound smart and impressive.
Right.
But returning to our computer RAM metaphor, when you hit someone with, I leverage synergistic financial paradigms, You are eating up all their available processing power.
Oh, wow.
They aren't impressed. They are confused. They're frantically translating your jargon instead of actually connecting with you.
So it backfires.
Completely. Stripping away that complex vocabulary forces you to distill your identity down to its most accessible core. I work in a bank gives them an immediate, recognizable category to place you in.
And when you don't keep it simple, the system just crashes. There's this hilarious cautionary tale in the material about a job interview.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, one of the hosts talks about being a young applicant, sweating through his suit, just incredibly nervous. And the manager looks at him and drops the, "Tell me about yourself" bomb.
His fight or flight response just kicks right in.
Totally. His RAM is 100% consumed by the desire to sound like this flawless corporate machine.
Yeah.
So he just starts listing adjectives.
Just a string of buzzwords.
Yes. He says, "I am hardworking. I like to arrive on time. I am a fast learner."
Yeah.
Which, I mean, sounds great on paper, except his brain was so overloaded managing his self-presentation that he entirely forgot to mention he actually had prior experience in that specific field.
He literally left out the single most critical piece of data.
The only thing they cared about.
Exactly, because he was trying way too hard to manage the other person's perception of him.
It makes me think of a well-crafted introduction like a movie trailer. Like
Yeah.
when you watch a trailer for a highly anticipated thriller, they don't give away the entire plot, every character's backstory, and the twist ending in the first 60 seconds.
No, that would ruin it.
They give you the genre, the main character, and a hook. You save the deep lore for the actual movie. And the creators explicitly warn about this. They say, do not give your whole life story in minute 1. They literally say, save the cat stories for the second minute.
I love that framing so much. Save the cat stories for the second minute.
It's so good.
Because once you've established that baseline name, location, simple job, you have successfully stabilized the interaction. You've given them the genre and the main character, but obviously you can't just stay in that baseline mode forever.
Right, because otherwise the conversation just hits a brick wall. Like, "I'm Paul, I work in a bank." Great.
Right.
And then just excruciating silence.
Precisely. You have to transition from the what to the who, and this is where the material introduces the concept of personal hooks, or what we might call conversational doors.
The examples they give for these hooks are brilliant because they are so mundane, but yet so effective. They talk about this guy named Marco taking a beginner guitar class.
A chef, right.
Yeah, he introduces himself to the room by saying, "I am Marco. I work as a chef in a restaurant downtown. In my free time, I want to learn music because it makes me relax."
Notice the architecture there. It's structural perfection. Name, simple job description. And then a hobby attached to a core universal human feeling. The desire to relax.
Because everyone gets stressed.
Exactly.
They also talk about using hobbies where you aren't even an expert. One host mentions she likes hiking in the mountains, but she makes sure to add that she's very slow at it, joking, being slow is okay, the mountains don't run away.
Which is very charming.
It is. And then, of course, there are the pet details. They bring up a specific example of having a naughty cat who jumps on the table while she's eating because the cat thinks the owner's dinner is her dinner.
Typical cat behavior.
Instantly,
Yeah.
you know you are dealing with a relatable cat person. But I have to stop you here because this seems contradictory.
Oh, so.
Well, if the golden rule of the first minute is to keep it brief so we don't overwhelm the listener, isn't dropping a story about a naughty cat stealing your dinner completely violating the save the cat stories for minute 2 rule?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like, that sounds exactly like the kind of oversharing we are supposed to be avoiding.
That is a vital distinction to make. There is a massive mechanical difference between oversharing and opening a conversational door. Oversharing is a monologue.
Okay.
It's trapping the listener in a 10-minute recounting of your cat's dietary restrictions. That eats up their RAM. But mentioning you have a mischievous cat who steals food, that's offering a menu of options.
So it's about giving them multiple paths to walk down.
Exactly. When Marco says he's a chef who plays music to relax, he isn't trauma dumping about the stress of the kitchen. He is handing the listener 3 distinct keys.
Food, music, or stress.
Right. They can ask about the restaurant business, they can ask about learning guitar, or they can relate to the universal stress of daily life and needing to unwind. A conversational door gives the other person agency in where the chat goes next.
Okay, so you're transitioning from exchanging raw data to exchanging actual humanity.
Beautifully put.
But the creators make a fascinating pivot in the final segments. They point out that a perfectly crafted script with the right amount of basics and the perfect conversational doors is completely useless if the physical delivery is paralyzed by anxiety.
And this is where the material crosses from linguistic advice into evolutionary psychology. The biggest hurdle to connection isn't a lack of vocabulary. It's the paralyzing fear of making a mistake.
They share this incredible story about a man from France at a cafe. His English was definitely not perfect.
Not at all.
He didn't use complex grammar to explain his itinerary. He just walked up with a huge smile and said, "Hello, I am here. I am here for holiday. I love this city."
Hello, I am here. I am here for holiday. I love this city. I mean, is it grammatically flawless? No. Did it work perfectly? Yes.
But does that really hold up outside of a charming Parisian cafe? Like, if I walk into a high-stakes board meeting with broken grammar and a big smile, competence has to outweigh warmth, right? I'm going to lose credibility.
You'd think so, but evolutionary psychology actually tells us the exact opposite.
Really?
Yeah. When we encounter a new human being, our brains subconsciously ask two questions in rapid succession. First, what are their intentions toward me? Which is a measure of warmth.
Okay.
Second, are they capable of acting on those intentions? Which is a measure of competence. We assess warmth before we assess competence because, historically speaking, figuring out if someone is a friend or a foe is a matter of pure survival.
So the Frenchman's absolute enthusiasm and friendliness signaled safety and tribal alignment before his grammar even registered.
Exactly. Most people are not checking your sentence structure. They aren't grading your resume in real time. They are just trying to figure out if you are safe and pleasant to be around.
That takes so much pressure off.
It really does, which is why sharing goals or dreams is so highly recommended in the material. Mentioning you want to travel to Japan or that you're learning English for a better job, it signals forward momentum. People are instinctively drawn to those who want to grow.
But what happens when you don't feel enthusiastic? What happens when you're just utterly terrified to be in the room?
Which is the reality for most of us.
Right. Here's where it gets really interesting. The creators argue that being honest about your anxiety is actually a strategic advantage.
Yes, the yellow shirt story.
Exactly. There's this memory shared between the two hosts about the very first time they met in the studio. One of them walks in wearing this incredibly bright yellow t-shirt, a very bold fashion choice for someone who is secretly freaking out.
A high visibility outfit for a high anxiety day.
Such a good way to put it. He walks right up, extends a hand, and says, "Hi, I'm Paul. I'm going to be your partner. I'm a bit nervous, but I'm ready to work."
He just names the elephant in the room.
And by being honest about being shy, he immediately relaxed the other person.
Because in almost any new social encounter, both people are experiencing some level of social friction. Both people are running that heavy background anxiety software we talked about.
Right.
So when one person is brave enough to deploy proactive vulnerability, like saying, "Hey, I'm a little nervous," it gives the other person permission to drop their own guard. It disarms the social friction instantly.
They make it clear you can literally just say, "I am a bit shy, but nice to meet you."
Just put it out there.
But you have to pair it with the single most important physical mechanic of human connection.
The smile.
The smile. Because a genuine smile translates across every language barrier, every cultural divide, and every level of corporate hierarchy. It universally signals, "I am happy to talk to you." But here's the catch. Smiling is incredibly hard to do naturally when your brain is frantically searching for what to say next.
Which is why the creators advocate for a tactic that sounds, honestly, completely counterintuitive to authentic connection. Memorizing a script.
Yes. They suggest having a 3 to 4 sentence routine that you know so well you could recite it in your sleep. Like, "I'm Paul, I'm from this city, I love music, and I work in media."
Keep it super simple.
They even tell you to practice it out loud in front of a mirror in your bathroom.
Much to the utter confusion of the host's cat, who apparently stared at her like she was losing her mind while she greeted the bathroom mirror.
Right. But why memorize it? Doesn't reciting a rehearsed script make you sound robotic and fake?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the goal of memorization isn't to sound like a robot. The goal is automation.
Automation.
Remember our RAM metaphor. If your introduction is automated, it takes zero processing power to deliver. You aren't desperately searching your brain for the right adjective to describe your job.
Right. You're not trying to find the word synergistic.
Exactly. And because that cognitive load is lifted, you can actually use your mental energy to maintain eye contact, read the room, and form a genuine smile.
So you're freeing up the hardware to actually pay attention to the human being standing in front of you.
Precisely.
Which means you are far less likely to stumble into what the material calls an oops moment.
The ultimate cautionary tale of situational awareness.
We absolutely have to talk about the wedding cake disaster.
Please do.
Okay, so one of the hosts is at a wedding reception, and a woman walks up and issues the prompt. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
The only problem is he was in the middle of eating a massive, decadent piece of chocolate wedding cake.
An absolute failure to read the environment before engaging.
It's terrible timing.
Yeah.
And instead of just holding up a finger to ask for a second, he tries to speak with his mouth entirely full of cake.
Oh, no.
He mumbles, "I am Paul, I work," and it's a complete catastrophe.
Right.
He has chocolate all over his teeth, he can barely articulate a word, and the woman just laughs and gently suggests he maybe finish his cake first.
So embarrassing.
It is the most practical, universally applicable tip in the entire deep dive. Do not introduce yourself with a mouthful of food. Wait. Swallow the cake. Then smile.
It's a hilarious visual, but it perfectly underscores the messy reality of human interaction. We get caught off guard, we panic, we end up with chocolate on our teeth.
Literally.
But if you have the basics down, if you know your automated script, you can recover from almost any social stumble.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, the next time you find yourself at a networking event or a neighborhood barbecue and someone asks you to tell them about yourself?
Good question.
Well, it means you have a neurological and psychological blueprint.
Yeah.
You don't need to invent a fascinating new persona on the spot. You just need to offer a clear, simple window into who you are. Start with the baseline facts to reset the cognitive load.
Then strategically open those conversational doors like Marco learning guitar to relax or being a slow hiker to give the other person a menu of options to engage with.
And lean into proactive vulnerability. Share a goal. Name the elephant in the room if you are nervous, and make absolutely sure your mouth is clear of chocolate cake before you deploy that mirror-tested script.
This raises an important question, one that I think flips our entire understanding of communication on its head.
Okay, what is it?
We established from the jump that this material was designed for beginners learning a new language. But if stripping away complex jargon, automating the basics, and relying on fundamental emotional truths makes a beginner such a profoundly effective communicator, what would happen if native speakers adopted this exact same beginner's mindset?
Oh, that is a fantastic lens to look through.
Right. What if we stopped trying to prove how smart we are and instead just focused on being understood? What if we stopped trying to impress people with our resumes and started signaling safety and warmth instead? I challenge you, the listener, tonight. Mentally rewrite your own personal introduction.
I love that.
But do it using only the vocabulary of an absolute beginner. Strip it down to its simplest, most vulnerable form. You might find that by saying less, you are actually giving people so much more of who you really are.
Because at the end of the day, when someone walks up to you, extends a hand, and says, "Tell me about yourself," they aren't looking for a Wikipedia page or a LinkedIn summary. They're just looking for a human connection. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of a really good cat story.
Just save it for a minute, too.
Save it for a minute, too, though.
Oh.